Ever wonder how OpenAI manages to stay ahead in this like crazy competitive AI world? We've got a ton of articles about it, research analyses, industry comparisons, even some insider perspectives. So let's do a deep dive.
Yeah.
By the end of this deep dive, you'll understand what gives OpenAI its edge. We'll look at their tech, their strategies, and maybe even a bit of risk taking.
You know, what's really fascinating is OpenAI's success isn't just about, having the biggest models or just throwing computing power at the problem. It's really about their whole approach to research, development, deployment, kind of this integrated approach.
Okay, so let's break that down. A lot of these articles highlight the evolution of their GPT models. From GPT-1 to GPT-4, it's been a pretty wild ride. What makes GPT-4 such a big leap forward?
Well, GPT-4's multimodality and the improved reliability are definitely big deals, but I think the real game changer is OpenAI's focus on techniques like reinforcement learning from human feedback, or RLHF, and also chain of thought prompting. You can almost think of it like, imagine teaching a computer to think step by step, like a human solving, a tough coding problem or something.
Right.
RLHF lets developers fine-tune the model's responses based on human feedback, and this leads to way more natural and accurate interactions.
So it's not just about making the model bigger, it's about making it think more like us.
Exactly.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And speaking of thinking, I was reading about those specialized models like O1 and O3 that are designed specifically for complex reasoning. They're generating a lot of buzz.
Yeah, and that buzz is totally warranted. These models generate these internal chains of thought to work through problems, much like a human would, break down a complex task. And this approach has helped OpenAI outperform competitors on these reasoning benchmarks. In fact, O3 is already being used in research, accelerating drug discovery, and personalizing education. It's showing that it has the potential to totally change multiple fields.
That's amazing. But it's not just about the tech, is it? Their company structure is, it's pretty unique too.
Yeah, you're right. The whole journey from nonprofit to this hybrid model is really interesting. And this structure allows for massive investments. We're talking billions, which is absolutely crucial for developing and training these large AI models.
Yeah, that makes sense, but it also seems like this shift has created some debate, right? Some people are concerned about how much they're prioritizing profit versus their original mission. Is there a historical precedent for this type of hybrid model? How did those play out?
It's a valid point for sure.
Yeah.
And actually, we see this tension kind of play out in the debate around open sourcing models.
Right.
Some people say it democratizes AI, and then others fear that it could lead to misuse. It's a really tough call. While this blend of mission and profit has, allowed for these rapid advancements, it's definitely important to look at the concerns and make sure that development is responsible as AI becomes more woven into our lives.
Definitely makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What does this mean for the future of AI? Especially with OpenAI's close ties with Microsoft, these articles really emphasize the impact of that alliance. Having exclusive access to cloud computing and that level of financial backing, that's a real game changer.
Yeah, absolutely. And their Stargate project, a $500 billion investment in AI infrastructure, is unbelievably ambitious.
Wow.
We're talking dedicated data centers, energy resources, and specialized hardware. It's an investment most competitors would really struggle to even come close to.
It sounds like they're building like a fortress.
Yeah.
This brings up some questions, though. Will this level of concentrated power lead to more democratized AI? Or is this creating a monopoly and limiting access for smaller players, potentially stifling innovation?
Yeah, it's a development worth watching closely, that's for sure. This infrastructure is laying the groundwork for a future AI city. OpenAI and Microsoft are making a huge bet on their vision, but how this plays out long-term for the industry and access to AI, that's something that's still unfolding.
It's fascinating to watch, isn't it?
Yeah.
This push for dominance while also trying to maintain this image of ethics and transparency, yet they've been moving towards more closed models recently. How do you square that?
That's a really key point. Closed models offer more control and safety, and that's becoming even more important as AI gets more powerful. But then openness, that fosters more broader innovation and collaboration, so it's a difficult balance to find.
What are the long-term consequences of this approach? Could this move towards closed models potentially hinder the overall advancement of AI?
That's something that the entire AI community is wrestling with. And OpenAI's strategy is a reflection of this whole debate.
Yeah.
I guess only time will tell how their approach will shape the future of AI accessibility and innovation. This move toward these closed models, it's definitely like a calculated move with some potential long-term consequences for the AI world.
Yeah.
Almost like they're building this like walled garden, and they're really carefully controlling who gets to, access it and who gets to contribute to their advancements.
That's an interesting analogy, the walled garden, especially considering the resources they're pouring into this research. Like a $500 billion investment in Stargate. I mean, that's almost impossible to fathom.
It really is a crazy number, and it shows OpenAI's commitment to staying ahead in the game.
Yeah.
But it's not just about throwing money at the problem.
Right.
They're strategically investing in compute as a competitive advantage.
So it's not just about training bigger models. It's about like creating an ecosystem where that increased computing power leads to even more innovation.
Exactly. It's like a cycle.
Uh-huh.
More compute leads to better models, which then need even more compute power. And that's where the partnership with Microsoft is so important.
Right.
Microsoft Azure gives OpenAI those vast resources they need for these ambitious projects.
It's a powerful alliance for sure. But speaking of power, how does OpenAI plan to actually turn these innovations into products and services that people will pay for? The articles mentioned like these enormous financial hurdles.
That's the big question, right?
Yeah.
Some experts think that OpenAI is going to have to focus on specialized AI applications for different industries, like healthcare or finance or manufacturing.
So instead of trying to create like one AI to rule them all, they would, tailor their models to solve specific problems in different areas?
Exactly. Imagine a version of GPT-4 that's been trained for medical diagnoses or another one for financial forecasting.
Okay.
This targeted approach could be really powerful and lead to some profitable solutions.
That makes a lot of sense, but developing these specialized applications would still require a lot of data and a ton of computing power, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
OpenAI is already investing in the infrastructure to support these applications.
Okay.
Remember Stargate?
Yeah.
It's not just about training bigger models. It's about creating a platform that can host and deploy tons of these different specialized AIs.
So Stargate is like this massive power plant for AI, providing the energy for all these different applications.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it.
It seems really ambitious.
It is, but it's a necessary step. If OpenAI wants to be the go-to for AI solutions, they need a platform that can keep up with the demands of like a global market.
That's a really good point, but it also brings up this question that's been like swirling around OpenAI for a while now.
Yeah.
How do they balance this drive for dominance with their commitment to like ethical AI development, especially with the potential for misuse?
Yeah, that's a critical concern. You're right. The more powerful AI gets, the more important it is to think about the ethical side of things. And OpenAI, they've been really actively involved in these discussions about AI safety and bias mitigation and transparency.
So they're trying to build like safeguards into their models to make sure that they're used responsibly.
Exactly.
But how do you even define responsible when you're talking about something as powerful as AI?
That's the challenge. There's no easy answer.
Yeah.
OpenAI is exploring different approaches. For example, they're researching techniques to align these AI systems with, like, human values.
Okay.
Making sure that the models behave in ways that benefit society.
It's almost like trying to instill a sense of morality in a computer.
Yeah, it's a complicated problem, and the researchers are still in the early stages of, like, finding solutions. One approach involves training models on massive data sets of text and code that kind of reflect our values and ethical principles.
So you're trying to teach a computer right from wrong, basically.
In a way, yes.
That's fascinating, but also kind of daunting.
It is, but it's a step we have to take.
Right.
As AI gets more integrated into our lives, we need to make sure that these systems reflect, what we value and that they're used for good. OpenAI's work in this area is crucial because it sets the standard for the whole industry.
Their choices will have a big impact on, like, the whole AI landscape, but OpenAI isn't the only player in this game. What about the competition? The articles mention companies like DeepSeek, Anthropic, Google's Gemini, Meta's Llama. It's getting crowded out there.
Yeah, it really is. The AI field is just exploding with new companies and different approaches. Some are focused on building even bigger models, others are specializing in particular applications, and some are even looking into open source alternatives to OpenAI's, closed approach.
So it's not just a race to build the best tech, it's also about like different philosophies on the future of AI.
That's exactly right. OpenAI's strategy with their focus on scale and proprietary models and these partnerships, it's just one way to go about it.
Hmm.
Other companies are taking different paths, and it's too early to say which one will ultimately be the most successful.
It sounds like the AI landscape is super dynamic and like kind of unpredictable.
It really is.
What are some of the key areas that OpenAI is focusing on to stay ahead of the curve?
Well, one area that's got a lot of people excited is the development of reasoning models.
Okay.
We talked about O1 and O3 earlier. These models are designed to go beyond just processing language and information.
Right.
They're being trained to actually think through problems, like a human would.
I mean, we've all seen how impressive ChatGPT is at generating text. But imagine an AI that can reason, solve complex problems, and even be creative.
That's what they're aiming for. And it has the potential to really revolutionize so many fields,
Yeah,
from scientific discovery to medicine, even art and design.
that's mind-blowing.
It is.
But I can't help but think about, the potential downsides.
Sure.
What about the risk of misuse or the possibility that these systems could develop biases that we haven't even thought of yet?
Those are valid concerns. And OpenAI is actively working to mitigate those risks.
Okay.
They're doing research on ways to align AI with human values and to make sure the models are used safely and ethically.
So it's like they're trying to push the boundaries of what's possible with AI, but at the same time making sure it doesn't become something we can't control.
Yeah, it's a delicate balance for sure.
Hmm.
OpenAI's success is going to depend not only on their technology, but also on their ability to handle these complex ethical and social implications.
It's a huge responsibility.
It is.
So it's not just about building the most powerful AI, it's about building the right AI.
Well said. OpenAI's journey really shows us that AI development isn't just a technological challenge.
Yeah.
It's a human one, too.
Right.
We need to figure out how to harness this incredible power responsibly to make sure it benefits everyone.
That's a really powerful message, and OpenAI's journey isn't over yet.
No, not at all.
Oh, what's next for them? How do they plan to keep their spot at the top of this, rapidly changing field?
Well, that's what we'll be talking about in the final part of our deep dive.
Okay.
We'll look at the challenges they're facing, the strategies they're using, and the potential impact their choices could have on the future of AI.
Welcome back. We've been kind of dissecting OpenAI's journey, their tech, their strategy, all their bold moves in the world of AI. But like any pioneer, there are going to be some bumps in the road, right?
Right, exactly. OpenAI's approach, this mix of pushing the limits while trying to be ethical hasn't exactly been free of controversy.
Yeah, the articles mention like some of the internal disagreements they've had and the public criticism.
Yeah.
Some people are questioning whether going after profit undermines their original goal of, making sure this AI benefits everybody.
It's a real concern.
Yeah.
The sheer scale of resources that you need for this kind of research, it can really put pressure on companies to prioritize, the financial side.
Right.
But OpenAI says they're committed to both, even though it's a tough balancing act.
Yeah. Especially with how fast AI is moving and these like blurred lines between, open and closed models. OpenAI was all about transparency initially, but now they're being more guarded with certain technologies.
Yeah, and this is part of a bigger debate in the AI world.
Right.
Openness can really speed up progress, and it allows for more scrutiny. But with AI getting so powerful, closed models are a way to manage the risks.
It's a tough decision, balancing progress with keeping things safe and under control. So how is OpenAI handling this?
They're mixing things up strategically,
Okay.
releasing some stuff, keeping other things super secret, and they're actively taking part in conversations about ethics and regulations, which is good.
So they're not just doing their own thing, they're talking with the wider community to make sure AI develops responsibly.
Exactly. They're operating under a microscope. The whole world is watching, not just for the cool new tech, but also for how they handle this huge responsibility. Their choices are going to influence everyone in the industry.
It is a massive responsibility.
Yeah. So where do they go from here? How do they stay on top while dealing with all these complicated issues?
One thing is they need to diversify how they make money.
Okay.
Stargate is like the foundation for large-scale AI, but they got to translate that research into stuff people will buy.
Yeah, the articles talk about exploring these specialized AI applications tailored to certain industries. Could that be the key to making a profit?
It's definitely possible. Imagine a whole set of AI tools for like healthcare, finance, or even creative fields like art and music.
Oh, wow.
This could bring in steady money and also make AI more accessible.
It's really exciting to think about. But as they move more into the business side of things, how do they make sure their original mission doesn't get lost in the chase for profit?
That's the crucial thing, staying transparent, taking part in ethical discussions, and putting those societal benefits alongside making money, all that's really important.
Right.
It's a delicate balance, but it's super important for making sure that AI stays a force for good. Okay, so what should our listeners take away from all this? What should they be thinking about as AI keeps evolving?
Well, OpenAI's journey gives us a peek into the future of AI, a future with a ton of potential, but also one that needs us to think carefully.
Yeah?
We've seen how their tech is changing things, but their choices about ethics, access, and who holds the power, those choices will affect all of us.
It reminds us that the future of AI isn't set in stone. It's something we're all creating through the conversations we have, the questions we ask, and the choices we make.
Exactly. Stay informed, participate in these discussions, and be aware of the ethical implications as AI becomes more and more a part of our lives.
Yeah.
The future of AI is a reflection of our choices in many ways.
Well said. That's a great point to end on. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into OpenAI and the future of AI.
It's been a pleasure.
And thanks to all our listeners for sending us this awesome material and for joining us on this journey of exploration. We'll see you next time for another deep dive.